Hey folks, so I figured I'd give you guys something a little bit extra this week and a little different from what I usually do. Since the World Eater Codex is just right around the corner, I thought I'd give you guys a little video going over the lore of the World Eater Legion, since I paint them up quite a lot and I am going to be painting them up once the new models come out. Now, we will be going in the background of the infamous 12th Legion, formerly known as the Warhounds, now known as the World Eaters. The World Eater's history begins back in the 30th millennium. Following the Emperor's conquest of Earth, he formed the Space Marine Legions and continued his crusade across the galaxy. And from the most brutal, violent, and bloodthirsty of Space Marine recruits, the Warhounds Legion was created. Explosive shock troops that would slam into enemy lines and fortifications, focusing on their overwhelming physical strength to hack, slash, and cut any unfortunate force opposing them down. Now, it's theorized that most of the Legion members were recruited from what used to be Central Europe, but there are no official records of any specific region of recruitment. Now, some people would say the violent traits of the World Eaters were brought about by the gene seed of their Primarch Aggron, but that's wrong. Now, we'll go into Aggron in another video if this video does well. Again, I don't know. Just let me know what you guys think of this. But in short, Aggron was theorized, or it has written that Aggron used to have the ability to take away the pain of others, being a supernatural empath. Before being rid of Aggron, the Warhounds held the idea of brotherhood and bonds to a high regard. Now, I personally believe that Aggron's original purpose of being created was the embodiment of such a concept, to be that symbol of brotherhood and bonds that only comrades can have. But after, again, we have to go into Aggron in another video, because if I do it here, then it's going to be like an hour long. But in short, Aggron had a very bad upbringing. His home planet that he was initially found on and was raised on was not a great place to be. He was raised as a gladiatorial slave and was forced to have these implants called the Butcher's Nails, which you may or may not have heard of, put into his skull, which basically just made him into a bloodthirsty berserker. But again, we'll be getting into that more. But the reason I bring it up is because the way of Aggron being found by the Emperor. So, what happened was Aggron was leading a slave rebellion against the masters of the planet that he was being held captive by, with other gladiatorial slaves. And on the eve of the battle, the night before the battle, the Emperor had finally reached Aggron with his World Eater Legion on the above the planet. And the Emperor had told Aggron that he was going to die tomorrow, that there was no way his army could win. And he offered Aggron a way to escape. He was like, hey, I got your entire legion ready to serve you. You just need to come with me. And Aggron had refused. Because he would rather die with the only family that he's ever known instead of leaving them in, their greatest defining moment of their lives. And the Emperor had left, seemingly accepting his choice. Unfortunately, right before the battle was about to start, the Emperor had teleported Aggron onto the World Eater's flagship. As everyone that he is known to call friend or family was slaughtered on the planet below, the Emperor made Aggron bend the knee and to serve in his Great Crusade. Now, after being forcibly put down by the Emperor with his psychic might, he was just in a frenzy, rage incarnate at this point. And the Warhound Legion, that was excited to meet him, sent their senior officer to try to calm Aggron down. And each time one would go into the holding cell that Aggron was put in, they would be swiftly murdered by the bloodthirsty berserker. This would go on until the captain of the 8th Company, Karn, approached Aggron, and instead of fighting back against the raging Primarch, would just simply recount the triumphs and victories that the Legion had accrued since Aggron's absence. And Aggron, seeing this display of strength and just discipline, was finally calmed down enough to finally meet the rest of his legion. And during this time, as he was meeting the rest of his Gene sons, Karn told Aggron that while the army that you rose up against your masters against were the Eaters of Cities, we will be the Eater of Worlds. Which is then when the Warhound Legion became the World Eaters. Now, most reunions between legions and their Primarchs are an event of celebration and pride. But for the World Eaters Legion, this was not the case. Far from it. For one, Aggron was the only Primarch out of his brothers to not conquer his world, making him seem very weak in comparison to other Primarchs and to other legions. And as well, on one of the very first battles that Aggron was at the steed of his legion, he ordered the World Eaters to conquer a hostile planet in 26 hours. a standard day on Nuceria. And after failing to do so, Aggron would personally butcher a good portion of the Legion. Now, a common occurrence that would happen with the World Eater Legion would be Aggron just straight up leaving his Legion, just getting on a ship and find a planet to settle down on and just escape. And he would always be brought back, by either other Primarchs, other Space Marine Legions, or the World Eaters themselves looking for their Primarch. Now, many World Eaters would both hate and admire their Primarch, with the Legion still loyal to him. I believe that this is because the World Eaters knew that Aggron was forced into this role, that he did not want to be at the head of this Legion, and that he was meant to die on Nuceria with all of his friends and family. And even then, Aggron was not fit to lead the Legion, but knew that he had the warrior spirit that was within all the World Eaters. But all the good that was in Aggron, that the World Eaters knew was down there, was dwarfed by the cybernetic implant known as the Butcher's Nails. Upon the planet Nuceria, Aggron was implanted with an ancient cybernetic device known as the Butcher's Nails. These implants, rather than making the user feel nothing but rage, like some think, make every single thought and action not associated with violence or bloodshed send a constant and ever-increasing pain throughout the user. Even subconscious actions such as breathing triggers this response. Only when they commit acts of violence is this pain alleviated, but only for a moment. So at every waking moment, Aggron is feeling nothing but excruciating pain when he is when he's just not murdering things, which is a very bad combination. Aggron, disappointed in the performance of his Legion, sought to replicate and implant the Butcher's Nails into every single World Eater. After some time, tech priests were able to successfully make copies of this implant. But once news of this reached the World Eater Legion, a civil war broke out between themselves. Those who refused the implant and those loyal to Aggron accepted the implant that their Primarch was trying to force on them. In the end, the loyal World Eaters would win, and the implementation process would begin. After the Legion successfully were implanted with the nails, they went from a already superhumanly enhanced shock troops to pure violence incarnate. Now lacking the restraint and discipline they once had, the World Eaters would violently conquer worlds that could have easily been brought into the Imperium peacefully. When working with more tactical legions, the World Eaters would disregard plans and simply rush headlong to the enemy, not caring about casualties or losses on either side. As time went on, the World Eaters would quickly degrade, losing much of their mental capabilities, only focusing on bloodshed. This is a known effect of the Butcher's Nails, that a lot of times, again, this is seen with the World Eaters in the Horus Heresy books, that as time goes on, they become less coherent. Like, they aren't able to think long term and only in terms of violence and committing violence and how to commit as much bloodshed as quickly and as frequently as possible. This would eventually cause them to fall to the powers of chaos and be champions of the chaos god of bloodshed and skulls, Khorne. But this is not what caused them to join their traitorous brothers in the Horus Heresy. No, they fought the Emperor because the World Eater Legion blamed him personally for what had become of their Legion, to bringing Aggron, a clearly broken Primarch who had become less than a shadow of his potential due to the Butcher's Nails and experiences on his planet, forcing him to lead the 12th Legion. After the Horus Heresy, the World Eater Legion broke into many warbands, following cults of personality and power as Aggron had become a demon prince, and would rarely be in the actual material galaxy, preferring to be in the warp until he could wreak bloodshed and violence on the galaxy. But recently, it seems that Aggron is back in the material realm, wreaking havoc on all those with many of his former legionnaires and other chaos forces. Whether it be loyalists, alien, or other chaos forces, the World Eaters will strike them down. For Khorne cares not from where the blood flows, only that it flows and skulls are claimed in his name. Hey guys, just hope you enjoy the video, and I just want to say again, if you want me to do more videos like this, then just let me know. Comment down below if there's anything you'd like me to change, and just again, like, share, and subscribing really helps out a lot. And if this video does well, then I'll probably do more of these. So yeah, until next time.